The sports scene in Detroit is on the rise. Playoff runs from the Lions and Tigers last season. Pistons are in the playoffs starting next week, and mathematically, the Red Wings are still clinging to hope. Incredible time to be a sports fan here in Detroit. Going back to the Lions last year, they made it to the divisional round. And our next guest hopes to one day work in the NFL. She is Lyric Sloan from Michigan State, and she spoke to someone who's living that life, being Dannie Rogers of the Detroit Lions. Lyric, great to have you on.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
How cool was it for you to be able to talk to somebody like Dannie?
She's in the position that ultimately I would want to be in. And it was so cool because not only did I meet someone and get great advice, but I also met a friend out of it. I mean, she's such a good mentor to have.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. People ask, like, well, what is networking? And really, at the end of the day, it's just relating to other people. And when those other people are in the industry, you just never know when, that day comes. You make that phone call or send that text and it could change your life. So is sideline reporting glamorous?
I feel like women make it even more glamorous. She told me that her days are so long, like a college football game day, maybe kickoff is at noon. She's waking up at 6 a.m. to get ready. That's a 15-hour day. She heads to the airport after that to meet the Lions where they need to be. So she said it was so fun and it's so rewarding, but it is not that glamorous.
Yeah, it really is. I know I'm less glamorous on the sidelines, personally speaking, but it is you wouldn't trade it for anything. I mean, it's the greatest job in the world. And I know one day you'll be working the sidelines as well. But this is Lyric Sloan and her conversation with Detroit Lions sideline reporter Dannie Rogers.
Everyone has an initial inspiration for why they chose this career path. Do you have a singular piece that this is why you wanted to do this?
I always go back to high school and everyone asks me this and I say, I do not know the exact moment where I was like, I want to be a sports broadcaster. I will say I grew up watching Detroit Lions every Sunday with my dad. So that totally influenced me. The major part of the story was I tore my ACL in high school after playing sports my whole life. And I thought, hey, I don't want to give sports up. Let's try another avenue. And so I don't know how or why, but sports broadcasting then became like the forefront of all of my dreams. And so we've just been following them ever since.
Did you start in college or did you start pursuing it?
In college. We didn't have these resources. I was in high school in 2011. We didn't have those resources. Like iPads were just becoming a thing in schools. It just wasn't a thing. And I didn't think to like put effort and energy into that as a high schooler.
Right.
I was playing sports. I was like doing everything. I was working on getting into Michigan. So that just wasn't my main priority. I don't think I got on camera in college until probably second semester at Michigan.
So I feel like everyone says in this industry, it's so competitive and it's really rigorous. So do you think that you had like a lucky break where you knew that you were making it on your way?
I think I'm the luckiest human in the entire universe. That's why I have a horseshoe tattooed on my finger. I'm just such a believer in if you do the work, like the doors open for you. Sometimes it's lucky timing. If I had graduated maybe 6 months later with my original class in 2018 with Michigan, I probably wouldn't have gotten the job that I had in Toledo right out of college that just platformed me to the next thing. If I maybe was a year younger or a year older, maybe I wouldn't have been ready for the Detroit Lions job, or maybe I thought I had surpassed that position. I think there's a lot of luck in terms of timing, but I have manifested and worked hard for every single thing. So I don't want to chalk it all up to luck.
Definitely with this industry, you have to do the work. Like if you're sitting on the couch and you're seeing someone on the field when you have that opportunity, like that's where you're missing it.
I agree.
So you've covered so many sports. While I was doing research on you, there was even car racing in there.
Yeah.
So do you have like a favorite sport that you like to cover?
Well, when I was in local sports, local TV in Toledo, Ohio, you did cover everything. And I never wanted to pigeonhole myself into one sport, but football kept sucking me back in. That was the majority of my internships in college. That's where I knew everyone, where I had built up a lot of relationships and connections in this industry. So I don't do as I do as I say, like try not to pigeonhole yourself, but I have pigeonholed myself into $1 billion sport. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So football is my favorite. Yes.
So that brings me to my question. You're a college student finding out that you're getting an internship with the Rams. It was in the summer, right?
Yes.
That is insane. What was your initial reaction to this? How did this come about?
Well, it's very interesting. I will die on the hill that it's all about who you know in this industry. So that football coach, Jed Fish, I nannied his girls. They were like 3 and 5 at the time. And I did that because I needed money for an econ tutor at Michigan, and I couldn't get the same tutors that the student athletes had. So he's like, come babysit my girls and I'll pay you. You can pay the econ tutor. I'm like, great. So I became best friends with his wife. I was there 2 to 3 times a week. So I told him, I'm like, hey, coach, I need an internship. He's like, okay, let me call someone. So he ends up calling Les Snead, the GM. And it was like, hey, I have someone who needs an internship. So next thing you know, I'm getting an email from the social team with the LA Rams. I went through one interview and got it. Essentially, he was like, hey, Snead, I'm going to need you to do me a solid here.
Yeah, this is your girl.
So a lot of people are like, how'd you get these internships? You know, where'd you apply? I thankfully didn't have to apply. And that's because I went into the Michigan football office 7 a.m. every day, worked my booty off. When I needed an internship, it was right there. And I went there and crushed it. And it was one of the best experiences ever. So my biggest thing is always ask for help.
I totally agree. And also like them seeing you put in the hours, building relationships is so important.
It is, yeah.
So sideline reporting for women seems very glamorous. Like all the girls love the outfits, who like with the hat and the trench coats, so cute.
Thank you.
But you know, when you're coming beforehand and not even in being in the career, is it as glamorous as it looks like?
No, it's not at all. It's not at all. I apologize for probably making it, you know, look a little bit like that. I know a lot of us do. College football days, I'm probably up at 6 a.m. after sleeping for about 6 hours because we'll fly in Friday, do meetings for 5-6 hours with coaches. I have to reorganize all my notes, write all my storylines. I'm mentally and physically exhausted. I was just on a plane sitting through all these meetings now. You get up at 6 a.m. for a noon game. I probably don't eat, but I had a coffee. I make sure I have a coffee and try to get a bottle of water in. I go there, have to do 3 pregame hits by 10 a.m., go into full game mode by noon, do a 4-hour game, walked 3 to 4 miles along the sidelines, probably sweating. I don't look like how I looked started the game. We need to start posting more of the afters. And then I'm racing to the airport to get on a plane to go meet the Lions wherever they are. So that's like a 15-hour day. None of it's glamorous, but it is so fun and it is so rewarding. And I think it's one of the most challenging jobs. It is a beast being real time in game. It's an art and it has to be perfected. It's not ever going to be perfect, but no, it's not glamorous, but it is a lot of fun. When it's not fun anymore, I'll stop doing it, but I don't ever see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, you're feeling the energy and it's so cool because there's no story. I mean, every game, it's anyone's game.
For sure. I've gone in with a million stories and used 1 or 2. Sometimes I've used none because players decide to get hurt. And then you throw every piece of note away and you try to bank on what you've heard through all the meetings and all your research prep and just bring that into the broadcast. Yeah.
Dannie Rogers works as a sideline reporter for the Detroit Lions. She also hosts Inside the Pride on Lions TV. I just want to remind anyone listening that may know somebody who has dreams of becoming a sports broadcaster, or maybe it's you yourself that have a dream of working in sports. You can go to SportsCaster.com. You can create your own profile, upload content to that profile, and then you too could be a guest here on Open Mic.